I would like to watch another game from this book because I found it kind of interesting, especially for the comments by the author, the ideas, so it's worth it. The more we get exposed to the ideas, the more we can replicate them in our games. So the game I want to show you is this game 2 between Ron Henley and Janis Clovans. It was played in Biel in 1996. In that time Ron Henley was 24-65, Janis Clovan 25-30. The game starts with d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, d5. So from this book the idea is that you will gain a repertoire on d4 playing d5. In this case we have a transposition, c4, e6, knight c3, knight f6 is the same from what you would have seen in this game in the beginning, that started with a totally different move order, right? Because he played d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, d5. So that doesn't really matter. C takes d5, e takes d5, bishop g5, bishop e7, e3, c6. So this is a kind of interesting move, because sometimes I have been in this position, I didn't study theory, I didn't know what to do. Do I castle? In this case it's interesting to see that black, a grandmaster, prefer to support the pawn d5, okay? So that's what I pay attention to. Bishop d3, castle. So the move order, sometimes it's really important. Queen c2, obviously now it's threatening this, because if it takes, okay? So you need to do something about it. What do you play? Do you play this or something else? Black played knight b d7. Again, move order is important. Why didn't play this? Because this generally weakens the castle. Okay? So it will be done maybe a little later. Knight f3, rook e8, castle, knight f8. So if now white takes this knight, it doesn't matter because the pawn h7 is still protected. h3. And now black played bishop e6. The author says this is one of the many possible plans that black can play. Other possibilities are knight e4, and what else? g6 also. Let's see if there is another one. And by the way, it seems he also quotes one of his games from 2016. That's interesting. Okay. So, however, black played bishop e6. Now we have rook a b1, the standard plan. Henley prepares the minority attack. This is a majority, okay? This is a minority, because we are two. But the rook move at this point has a small concealed disadvantage. Knight e4. This move has a tactical justification despite the block e file, as after a potential general exchange on e4, the white pawn on a2 would be hanging. Okay, so if I take here, this is hanging, and so it doesn't have his minority attack anymore. And here white played a novelty, which in that time was a novelty, bishop f4. A typical response, and also when the game was played, a novelty. So it's interesting, in 1996 at move 13 there was a possibility to play a novelty. In this specific case, however, exchanging the bishop would probably have been more precise, as now Clovans exchanges off the bishops anyway, but under even more favorable circumstances. And here he gives an example that in another game someone did play bishop takes e7. What does black do? Bishop d6. Bishop takes d6, queen takes d6, and so the knight, oh sorry, not queen, sorry, knight takes d6, and so the knight reaches its dream square. The knight is ideally positioned on d6 as it hampers the minority attack by controlling the b5 square, threatens to block the c file on c4, and is also ready to take part in the counterplay against the white monarch. You will learn more about this in the section about the Capablanca formula. How did white continue? He played knight a4. Too slow. The straightforward minority attack would have been more promising. And here he gives a line with b4, okay, to explain the minority attack, which is a6, a4. The idea is to go here, okay? So I don't give you all the line, one can read the book. I want to see the game just to get some ideas. So after knight a4, black plays queen f6. And here there is a threat. Obviously, can you see the threat? Why? You need to ask yourself why black played this move. What is the reason behind? Well, the reason is you want to play bishop takes h3, takes, and you take back. Okay, so that is the reason. White played king h2, an ineffectual attempt to defend against the aforementioned threat. The active knight move knight e5 wouldn't have solved white's problem either. So this move wouldn't solve the problem. So what white should play then? Because here he gives a line that shows that it wasn't working. Admittedly, white is lacking an active plan here, as the minority attack is completely neutralized by the knight on d6. Okay. The white position should be solid enough to withstand the impeding black attack. Okay, but with what then? Because that's kind of important to know, right? So he says the right move probably was this one. And black has only a little slight advantage. So this was the move to play. Okay, instead of this. Very interesting. Well, now pause again and tell me what would you play if you were black. Try to pause the video and find out, because this is a way to really improve in your chess. Okay, I hope you pause the video. Black played bishop takes h3, amazing move. King take h3, queen h6, and here there is a dubious move, that is king g3. It seems that probably he should have played knight h4, but he is still insufficient. Okay, well, black will have an advantage. And now, once more, what do? How do you continue the attack? I mean, the king is quite exposed, right? How do you continue to play here? Rook e4, amazing move. Clovans brilliantly cuts off the white's bishop, and the queen and threatens knight f5, checkmate. So obviously it seems that the knight e4 wasn't working. It makes sense. Sometimes in some position you need the right piece to give a checkmate or to create a problem, right? Bishop takes e4, knight takes e4, and guess what? Queen takes e4, and d takes e4. This was a good time to resign. It's a mystery to me why Henley dragged out completely futile resistance for another 30 moves. Well, obviously he was shocked that he lost the game in 20 moves. That's the reason. Come on, this is the reality of it. It's move 20 and it's over, right? 92, 96, rook h1, queen g6, king h2. Okay, and also here in this position, pause for a second, because you see, it's true, Henley should have resigned, but most of our opponents will not resign out of spite, out of trauma. We just inflicted them a trauma, and so you still need to convert the game into a total win, right? So in this position, what would you play? Because there is another brilliant move by black, okay? And I think we should every time pause and see them. The move is knight takes d4, boom. If he plays e takes d4, what do you play as black? Obviously you play queen h6, getting this and checking this. So it's over again, no? But obviously white doesn't want to give up. And so he plays knight c3. f5, knight d takes e4, f takes e4, e takes d4, and e3, rook h f1. Again, also if you take, you know, it's useless. He takes f2, rook takes f2, and queen d6. King g1, queen takes d4, rook d1, queen e3, king f1, rook e8, rook f3, queen e5, king g1, h6. This move is made to avoid a kind of a checkmate on the back rank, okay? So that's the reason. Here the author is not commenting any moves because it's just showing how the game ended. Rook d7, rook e7. This is to exchange the pieces because black has a one endgame, so at this point, to avoid problems, you just exchange the pieces. But if it was a computer, maybe it wouldn't exchange, because computers always find a crazy continuation that they continue to accumulate advantage without exchanging pieces. Rook takes e7, queen takes e7, g3, and obviously b5. Now, since we are in the endgame, you want to push the pawns in order to win the game. a3, a5, king f2, b4, a takes b4, queen takes b4, because now you need to defend better, right? Knight e2, queen takes b2, and now black has two passed pawns, and obviously white is still upset and continue to play. Rook c3, a4, rook takes e6, a3. At this point, I'm sorry, the reality, this pawn here is already worth a rook. Rook c8, king h7, rook a8, a2, king e3, a1, queen. That's why you should always buy a set with 4 queens, right? Rook takes a1, queen takes a1, king f2. Clearly, I don't know, white is upset because he should know that he's gonna lose. King g6, king e3, king g5, king f2, king g4, king e3, and rook e1. And here finally Henley gave up and resigned. Again, I love when they continue, because generally I promote all my pawns or to queens or to rooks just for having fun. This was an interesting game. Again, you need to expose yourself to as many games as possible in the repertoire given in this book, because so you gain the main idea on how to attack, when is right to attack, or in this case, when it was right to create the minority attack for white, and he didn't do it, so that's why he lost. Terrible for white, but it's part of life, someone must lose.